nika grow up, kulikuwa na a lot of misguidance, like msiolewe, first msome, mumalize. Lakini those things are, like, our view, ilikuwanga those things are not like mutually exclusive. Those are things that can be done together.
Tukikuja Kenya, si ufundisho kudanganyana from day one. Ninakuwa testimony. Tumefundishwa, mwalimu alitufundisha kuiba exam. Tukafundishwa kuiba homework. So at that time unakuanga una raise suspect. Jua hapa mtu akakupiga character development ni kama mada. Kenya watu wanapigwa character development daily. Yani kuachwa, kwanza sasa wanasema ni kuachwa, kuoga na kurudi soko. Unaget? As in we've made heartbreaks to be so casual.
Tulikuwa sisi wote tuko kwa different stages in life, right?
Yeah.
Kuna wenye wameolewa, kuna wenye hawajaolewa, kuna wenye they're kind of holding it back. Like just waiting. But sasa when tumekuwa kwa marriage for some time, there's this thing sote tumeka kuona. It's like for most people now are getting married in their higher 30s.
Their 30s.
30s.
Okay.
Karibia 40s. But our main conclusion ilikuwa nika grow up, kulikuwa na a lot of misguidance, like msiolewe, first msome, mumalize. Lakini those things are, like, our view ilikuwanga those things are not like mutually exclusive. Those are things that can be done together. Kwa sababu pia life ikihappen, kuna issue ya kupata watu hii. So tulikuwa tunataka kujua, what's your perspective? Like, what's your...
Number one, I think out of basic research, and this is not a conclusion, majority of the people who married in their 20s, majority of them, those that I know, majority of their marriages didn't last. It looks like life goes through certain cycles, and in every cycle, our perspective, our attitude, our view of life changes. And that is what now brings the conflict in later stages.
Right.
Biblically, when you study, it was supposed that wakati mtu amefika 30 years, 30 was the age that was considered to be mature.
Oh wow.
But we can't conclude that because they say if wisdom comes with age, then even fools grow old.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
I believe for me maturity comes with exposure and experience.
Yeah.
But I also believe maturity comes with some certain level of psychological maturity.
That's true.
Which is a product of time.
Yeah.
You can be exposed to some stuff at a very young age, but you still need time to mature psychologically.
Yeah.
So whatever the parents gave emphasis to was very important at that stage.
Yeah.
Because the same parents came and were giving an emphasis of utaolewa lini.
Exactly. Na sasa hiyo ndo tuko.
Yes, so we need to understand that you can't take dinner for breakfast. So during breakfast, you must emphasize on breakfast instead of discussing dinner during breakfast. So I think our parents were like, in this stage, focus na masomo. And then now they've realized that umemaliza masomo. Now we can discuss about olewa.
Yes.
The problem was there are people who focus so much na masomo wakasahau that there is also this other part of life that is waiting for them. Also, there are people who are raised with parents who are struggling. When I say struggling, it means huyo mzazi hakupata chance ya kwenda chuo. So yana anajiangalia anajiambia, I wouldn't like my daughter to resemble me. So now they were pushing you to become a version that they never became. And now later you've achieved everything and you've lost what matters to them. Because now you have the accolades, but nobody told you there must be a balance between life and academics, and there's a phase where you can balance the two. So lazima tujiulize, am I living my mom's or my dad's dream? Or is this a dream that I want to pursue? The second thing, there must be a psychological maturity. There must be exposure of life. There must be an understanding on which cycle am I in life. Because there's a cycle of maturity and you can handle marriage. But there's a cycle of emotions and feelings, but you cannot handle the institution.
I really like that. Kwa sababu unajua like right now in like research, they say the brain, it finishes to develop at 25. And at 25, that's when like all emotions zinafaa stabilize. Like your ability to make good decisions, all that. So I wonder kama basi at 25, unajua mtu anaingianga kampo ukiwa 19.
Yeah.
And the other thing tulikuwa tunasema, let's say kama watu wanaenda kampo, both females na males, you're surrounded by so many people who can become potentially good. Good what? Good.
For us, it's husbands.
For the girls. For the girls, it's husbands, and for the males, is
his wives.
At that point, you have potentially really good people.
19.
No. Between ukwa kampo, let's say, ama tuko memaliza 23, 24.
Ile tunaweza sema, for me, especially nikiangalia Kenyan context, the transition is so radical.
Yeah.
Because this year, I'm in a system of discipline, rules, uniform. The next year, I have my hostel, I have my freedom.
That's true.
That 360 transition sometimes is damaging.
Yeah.
There's a time people used to receive 2 years. First of all, to settle at home.
Yeah.
And they were very important. Because Bible kuna face life.
Yeah.
First of all, you realize life is hard. So by the time you go to campus, you're already coming from a place of jobs are not waiting for me.
Right.
So the Kenyan system of immediate transition is so damaging. And that's why now we are seeing very young people with accolades, meaning graduate.
True. Yeah.
And there's always an assumption that because I'm book smart, I'm street smart.
That's a very good point.
And that assumption wanga na wazazi. Because mzazi wa assume juu alipita mao, lazima hizi stories za life
calculate maisha. Yeah, that's true.
But life was so learn experience. Mao na learning in a practice. So it's two different exposures.
Yeah.
So mimi nikiangalia hivyo umesema 25, that's a new point. And now it begins to say, because when we begin to look at marriage, as a young person, even as when preachers were preaching, we try to make it look about marriage. Marriage is all about love.
Feelings.
It's all about sex. And all those things. Because I remember, tukiwa young, tulikuwa tunaambiwa, you need to abstain. Then you're going to have all the sex in marriage. And when now you begin to approach marriage, you discover these are deceptions.
Right.
Sex come with marriage.
Yeah.
But
it's not everything.
But that's not the reason why people marry. Ni kavile mso ununua gari, lakini agenda ikuwa size ya boot, unless alikuwa anatafuta pickup. Lakini a good car. Ukuja na boot. Unataka kuangalia engine capacity, performance and all that. Utaedit track.
But mimi na like your perspective kwa sababu unajua pia also lazima tu recognize wengi wetu hapa tumeishi US sana. So kuna vitu transition like kuna issue ya kama sisi tulifika hapa. I got here when I was 20, in my mid 20s. So I was young but I was not also very young. So kuna hiyo issue ya tukikama hapo tuna acculturate, so tunasahau hizo transitions za Kenya. But one of the things like why watu tunaanza kusema like why we misguided ni because unaona ukikuwa hapa unaona wazungu, they start letting their kids date when they are 16. So they are starting to practice relationships mapema. Na wanakuja kwa nyumba, guide na wazazi wao. Their parents are coaching them, and those are things we don't get to do in Kenya.
Sisi tunaona tulimiss big deal kwa sababu unapata mzungu ako 70 na amekuwa married for 50 years. That means huyo mtu amekaa kwa a marriage that is functional na haija fail. Sasa tukikuja huku unaona hata ukienda hosi unatritiwa nika unapata mtu ukiwa 60. Unaambiwa because of your age we have to monitor your blood pressure really good. Because of your age yani nikitoka huko I was feeling like is a 60-year-old amepata mtoto. Alafu ukiangalia naona kuna tu kajamani nilipata nako nikiwa 19. Na ama 20 hata 19 hata 27. But because kuna hierarchy of things that I have to meet at that time, wote walikuwa unaenda pass. Na tukiwa na fiki tunaangalianga mimi kwa namwambia unaona tuliangalia wale maboys wote walikaa my line nikipass walimari wakapata families poa. So, na sisi tuko tu stuck like fast education, second, job, third, marriage.
Na imani. Na hapo pia kulikuwa na imani. So tuna feel, unajua kasi sasa culture yetu, we transition from you single to you married. It's like there's no in between, like you're dating and your parents are actively coaching you to in that relationship. So hapo ndio sasa tuko.
So that's the American culture.
That's the American. 16. 14.
But when I look at the American culture, one of the things is that the children, the values of the community, like people are very truthful. There's genuineness, like Americans genuinely hate liars. And you realize those values, even when you know that people in a relationship, they have values that can take that relationship very far. Tukikuja Kenya, si ufundisho kudanganyana from day one. Na inakuwa testimony. Tumefundishwa, mwalimu alitufundisha kuiba exam. Tukafundishwa kuiba homework. So at that time unakuanga una raise suspect. So kawe ni mzazi, mpe wako akwambie uni chali yangu, unampiga macho ya suspect. Juu society hakuna mtu unaweza trust. Na hata huyu dem pia, hata ude mwenye anadetiwa pia ni suspect. How unajua, unaona nikaa kuna vitu amelose. I have no problem with the systematic sequence, because looking at the American territory, the systems are stable. You get a child here, you are assured of education, you are assured of medication. You get a child in Kenya, education you pay for it, medication you pay for it. So sometimes what parents church pay na kuseclude depending ulipata mtoi aje. So for me it depends, because the reason why parents will first of all push you to get what we call stability is because they are thinking of your financial stability. Because naturally, if you get a child and you can't support that child, huyo mzazi anajua sasa niko na watoto wawili wa kusupport, na hata huyo mmoja ni noma kumsupport. So they must make sure that you have a base, that whatever happens, you're able to take care of your stuff. Yeah.
I think hiyo pia ni reality check poa, kwa sababu pia lazima tu accept pia si transition, acculturate kiasi to system ya America. Mtu you start forgetting like yenyewe, like ukipata mtu umesahau hustle, kuna vitu mtu anasahau, you know.
Jua hapa mtu akakupiga character development ni kama mada. Kenya watu wanapigwa character development daily. Yani kuachwa, kwanza sasa wanasema ni kuachwa, kuoga na kurudi soko. Unaget? As in we've made heartbreaks to be so casual. Yes, we normalize. But I think here the culture is you are considered to be very mean. You know, it's so mean and all that.
You know, there's a story I've been following up about certain celebrities in Kenya, very well known, like musicians, and they were talking about their relationship journey. Now, because you forget, nikasema, oh my gosh, I think anaongea so much about their life, not being aware about like how this is damaging. Nikaanza kusema comments. Unajua venye mtu anaananga YouTube kusema comments. And then I realized, comment first. Of course. How now? Then I realized that it's actually a thing. Your relationship damage is like the new thing.
Yeah.
Alafu nikaona another big celebrity leo kuongea venye ameheartbreakiwa, and it's like a top celebrity everybody knows in Kenya. Then so venye umesema hivyo, it does really.
Nilikuwa na swali how can we actualize the issue of because tuko mambo ya relationship mapema, how can we the church actualize the message ile, especially excitement and inakuanga you receive your husband today or tomorrow. How do we actualize that message, because a lot of people have trusted with that but unakamika kwa mwingine akiwa tu pale.
I think we'll not run away from the reality. Anytime you address the issue of destiny, you can't fail to address the issue of marriage, because destiny has 3 gates. It has birth, it has teenagehood, and it has marriage. Because the person you marry dictate the kind of destiny you are going to have. That language of receive your husband, I think sometimes is a little bit careless, because when you look at the whole process, is that people are not just given. There's a whole preparation. So I believe there must be the concept of conversations from the pulpit and serious conversations, because these are very major gate. Preparation. And preparation for me every Sunday is a platform to prepare whoever is being married and whoever will be married. Because if someone can produce the fruit of the Spirit, then the other spouse will enjoy the fruit more. You don't need to get married to produce. You can go as a fruitful vine that the other person will enjoy. This is the paradox. In Kenya, and I won't mention the name of the church, one of the church did a book, a very powerful book on marriages. And so many people adopted the book for their marriage counseling. But that church had the highest rate of divorce. They had a very good manual on preparing people for marriage, but that church had the highest rate of divorce. Later I discovered this church had very good manuals, but their Sunday to Sunday teaching was very shallow. So what I discovered is that marriage cannot be settled by other relationships. They cannot be settled by marriage counseling. It has to go beyond marriage counseling. And that means it can only be settled by marriage counseling plus effective biblical teachings. Because imagine on Sunday, maybe I'm doing a series on forgiveness. And the first person I need to forgive is my husband or my wife. I've already healed that marriage and I've not taken them through counseling. But that particular biblical teaching is so powerful that it begins to heal the marriage of the relationship. So when we teach the whole counsel of God, we are preparing people for the different phases of life.
So, so in most cases, women, I mean, like it could be different now, but women, we tend to take it harder on like being cheated on. Men tend to, there's just that tendency of women being like the collateral damage of like a society where tunaitwa tu unachokozwa, unaharasiwa, hizo vitu zote. So so do men see themselves, because you see, once you victimize a person, something has to be wrong na wewe pia, si ndio? Kwa sababu kama wewe uko a whole man, umejiamini, uko na values, haufai hata kwa kanisa kwenda ukidamage watu wengine, si ndio? So
that's all.
What's your...
It's the background of what we call male chauvinism. There's an old saying that they used to say in ancient Rome, a Roman man will wake up and thank God that one is a man, and second thing is a Roman. Because of the benefits he got as a man and also got as a Roman. So it's the ideology of male chauvinism, where we live in male-dominated society, but we are slowly beginning to see people seeing women not as object of pleasure, but beginning to see them as companions and suitable helpers and people that bear the image of God. That tells me, if you have the image of God, we can't have a stronger image and a lesser image. That means these images are equal. Even when you read the Bible, I know they always say it's the woman who made Adam to fall. The serpent made the woman to fall. The woman made Adam to fall. And the question has always been, if a stronger devil could not make Adam to fall, and a weaker woman makes Adam to fall, so if Adam is the stronger, so between the woman and Adam, who is the strongest? Because if a weaker woman makes a stronger man to fall, so who's strong? But you see, now when we look at strength, we're not looking at might or anatomical configuration. We're just looking at positions. And to put it even more theological, because these conversations sometimes, Peter writes and says, remember that women are weaker. But when Peter is writing, he's trying to engage men from a place of understanding that there are things men are privileged to achieve that a woman may not achieve. But that does not simply mean that she's lesser in value. Paul writes and says, wives, submit to your husband. The language there, submit, is from a military background. It's a language of rank. Acknowledge that there is an authority God has placed in your life as a rank. It's not a submission as unto manipulation. It's submission as unto recognition. That in terms of order, God has placed this person as an authority. But that does not mean that my opinion does not count. And when a man is the head and the leader, then he will lead like Christ. That's why it says, husband, love your wives as Christ loved the church. To a point that he died for the church. Meaning that it takes a man who is willing to die for the wife. That means he has no point to prove. He's here to collaborate with the person that they're working with. So there's a lot of African and secular ideologies that don't match spiritual and biblical ideologies. When God says, let us make man in our own image, after our own likeness, male and female created he them, male and female. Meaning that God is trying to bring together, because God is not male, God is not female. Because when he's creating his image, he has to bring male and female. So male and female, these are dimensions of expression. The male dimension expresses authority. The female dimension expresses power. So when we look at male expression and female expression, when they come together now, we see the complete expression of Elohim.
I really like that. I don't know kama umesoma, but CNN actually highlighted, I like that male chauvinism. CNN News, I think last weekend, I actually posted it on my status, because we're starting to stand out. Starting to stand out for toxicity, especially toxic masculinity. They wrote maybe a 5-page article kusema venye the Kenyan toxicity, especially male towards female, may increase. And I'm not saying this is...
But let me interject, because I understand the terrain. I think what has happened, equally, and I'm saying this with a lot of respect, our women have also mispositioned themselves. Like when we come to the Kenyan context, you'll hear what the women are saying in their podcast. If you don't have money, don't talk to me. If you can't provide. So it has reached a place a man is looking at a woman from a material level. And so when men make money, they now begin to feel I can afford any woman that I want, because this is how they've projected themselves. And I'm not saying all of them. We have women of dignity, but majority of the socialites pushing the conversation, majority of the popular people in the conversations, they're pushing the conversation of, if a man does not have money, heri niteseke nikiwa kwa tajiri. Misiku. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, so the moment such utterances are put for outside, it now begins to express that masculinity. And you see, when we come from a place of materialism, and it looks like your value is 10,000, then that conversation will bring violence. Because I feel like, then what authority do you have over me, yet I can afford you? It's a very demeaning kind of conversation. Yes, and now you begin to see the conversations of mpango wa kando, like I can be, even if it's the 10th side chick, as long as it's providing for me and all that. So look even at gengeton. You know, this is the young people music. You look at how women have been positioned. They've been positioned as idols of sex. The way they dress, the way they dance, the way the music portrays them. And I always say parallel it to how also the West has managed to package our black women. They are trying to be created as models of pleasure, so that when people look at the black community, they see violence, and when they look at our women, they see them as object of pleasure and not dignified people. So there is a part where we contribute to the culture.
That's true.
But also it is such conversation that begin to correct the culture.
And for me, what I've always wished, we were, like in my family, we were only girls. And one of the things, and I'm happy we are talking about this, that I would wish for every girl to know, is that and I'm not saying it from what a man can do, a woman can do, is that I feel like every girl has the potential to. And every woman has... I think what I'm saying is, I wish I get both sides, and I'm a mother of boys. So for me, I don't see it as a feminism or a masculinity thing, but I just wish for every girl, especially when you took Kenya, everyone can understand that your worth goes beyond the money, the dollar. Like kila mtu ajua kona worth, and you can potentially, make your life what you want it to be by, contentness. Nakumbuka nikigraduate, I graduated from UON. And UON, unajua ndo kulikuanga na ma high profile escorts, right? And we knew them. And katumeka hivi, me and the girl that was seated besides me when I was graduating, tukasema unajua, sasa tuko equalized. Wale watu wote walikuwa ma escorts, na sisi, we have equal opportunities. That was like 10 years ago. Now when I think about it, it does make a lot of sense, because probably anything they were bought for is I can afford that for myself now.
That's right.
So I like that point so much.
Sorry. So for marriage, what do you think is overrated or underrated?
What is overrated?
Yeah, in a marriage.
Ina depend ni marriage ya nani to observe.
Like any marriage.
Yeah.
Like let's say for the newlyweds, 1 to 10, like when they get into marriage, they say, kumbe this was not a big deal as it looked like. I categorize like to categorize nini, sex, love, na pesa. What?
I think love is overrated.
Love is overrated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think watu fikiria watu wakioana wanatembeanga kwa nyumba wameshikana mikono, wakipigana mamunju, unajua.
Na mimi naweza sema ile kitu iko overrated based on like right now, because social media is everything, wanting to look like ni kama make it.
Oh yeah.
Hizo kuweka pictures, kwenda vacations mnaeka ma PDF, ma PDF. Ni jet lag. Hata mimi naweza sema hivyo. Mi pangu ni hiyo like just being so much like kuonyeshana ni kama mlioana make it.
I think kuna watu wanajaribu kuforce life, eh? Like there are people who make it look like this is the life we are living. Na ni hard sana. But for them, some of them wanaitangwa kuna wenye ufanye hiyo lifestyle. Like you do just lifestyle. You never show anything wrong with your lives. You just show the working part. But also inaleta pressure because people don't differentiate between vlogs and reality. Holiday kidogo. Kama isa vile tu nimekuja majuu, ningetaka kutesa. Kutoka entry ya pale airport kwa heri, kwa ndege. Just landed in Amsterdam. Unajua? But you see, this is not like the day to day, but you can push it on people's faces. Bako wanange umse tushinanga me travel.
And marriage kayo.
Yeah, no, I desire marriage kayo. Then wakisettle wa discover where.
By the way, my husband ananiambia kuna mpenda kucheza manini za watu wa Kenya na unaona hiyo venye wanabehave, wanajua camera in a row.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Be on your best behavior.
My question would be, what would you advise a Kenyan young man or lady who grew up in Kenya and came to America in early 20s and is looking forward to marriage, considering that they are Americans and they are Kenyans born in America? What would you advise them?
My first advice, your mindset must be broad. You can't come out from Gor Mahia and the FC and come to a nation of Manchester and Chelsea and still want to play local. So you must operate with a broad mindset. That's the first thing. Yeah. But it's an open session. Oh, you want us to pray? Okay, sir. Let me answer his question.
Okay.
So number one is you just have to broaden your mentality. The second thing what I've discovered is that marriages thrive in specific locations because of specific cultures. So you can't come and date with a Kenyan mindset. Huku ukiwa player unaweza shikwa. Kipiga character development unaweza shikwa. But it's just to understand what is the culture, what's the atmosphere. What are the rules of engagement in that territory, and just understanding also people, their background and their culture. Yeah, that's very important. Yes.
Thank you.